Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm looking at the PrizePicks plays for Monday night showdown between the Bengals and the Browns. Posted the DraftKings and FanDuel video, so you can check that out if you want to play it. Add that as well. It was a great Sunday for DFS. Went 5 of 6 on the early, mid, and afternoon slates. Posted the recap on Twitter and on the showdown video for DraftKings. So let's go ahead and get started with the PrizePicks. I have 3 props I want to share with you guys. As always, if you enjoy the videos, appreciate the like button, subscribe if you have not already. Sunday's PrizePicks went 2-2. Easily clear double. I mean, like Hopkins hit double whatever his PrizePicks total was. It's like 78 yards receiving, I believe, or 76.5, and he had over 150. Same thing with Pollard. It was 16.5 fantasy, and he put up over 30. Should have taken Foreman's fantasy instead of his receiving yards. I mean, he went absolutely nuclear. Hopefully played him on DFS. And then also, Slave, he had 50 yards. We needed like 60-something, 62. So, or 64, I think. But anyways, let's go ahead and look at tonight's. I have 3 props. I'm not going to go crazy, just give you guys the ones that I feel best about. First one is Joe Burrow over 265.5 passing yards. Now, this one seems like a lock, personally. The Browns, I mean, they are still a decent defense, but a couple weeks ago, we saw them give up over 300 yards passing to Bailey Zappi. Burrow, last week against the Falcons, he had almost 300 yards himself, or he had like whatever. He had over 265 passing yards last week in the first half. Threw for almost 500 against the Falcons. It's a tougher defense against the Browns this week, but still, even without Jamar Chase, this Bengals team still will like to throw the ball a lot. And with just, I mean, having Joe Burrow, why wouldn't you like to throw a lot? It's just been last year when he faced off against the Browns, he had over 280 passing yards. So I just feel pretty good about 265.5. It seems pretty low for a guy that's playing as well as Joe Burrow is right now. He's really locked in. He's starting to figure out some of the protection issues that he was having early in the season. And even without Jamar Chase, he still has Higgins and Boyd and Hurst and Mixon to make some plays. At the rushing yard props, taking the over on Nick Chubb, over 82.5. He's typically going to get you 20-plus carries on the ground. So that for how good of a back he is in terms of yards after contact and just overall yards per carry, he's always going to be flirting around 80-plus unless there's some different circumstances, especially with the news surrounding Kareem Hunt. If he's traded before Tuesday's deadline, he could be traded before this game, which means Chubb will get even more of a workload. So if that's the case, and given the Bengals are about on average rush defense, 18th in the league so far this year, giving up over 120 yards per game on the ground, they're going to like to feed Chubb early and often. He can break off big ones. He's been one of the best running backs in football this year. So against the Bengals defense, I think he can get us at least 83. Doesn't really do too much in the receiving game, so all the work and all the touches that he usually gets is going to be on the ground. And then last but not least, looking at the receiving yards, if you're taking Joe Burrow's over passing yards, it makes sense to take a receiver's over receiving yards with him. Those two will probably go hand in hand. If you pick the receiver that Burrow throws the most to and has the most yards, that's probably going to be T. Higgins. He's going to step in and become the number 1 wide receiver for the team without Jamar Chase for the next few weeks. On a lot of NFL teams, he probably would be a number 1 wide receiver. He has that much talent. And all the games that he's played so far, fully this year, I mean, he's missed some games partially, left early in a couple games. He missed a game with a concussion. But typically, he's always going to be getting a good amount of targets. Doesn't have any drop issues or anything like that. He can make big plays. Burrow does like to stretch the field and take deep shots, and usually would like to take some deep shots with Jamar Chase, so that might have to go to T. Higgins, and that's great for hitting his over 74.5. I think he can get us probably close to 100, if not more than 100. If Burrow does go for over 265, a lot of that's going to go to Higgins. Some of it's going to go to Boyd. Some of it's going to go to Hurst, but a good chunk of it's going to go to T. Higgins. So those are the 3 I like. Those are my 3 favorite props that are on PrizePicks. Burrow over 265.5 passing yards, Chubb over 82.5 rushing yards, and Higgins over 74.5 receiving yards. If you're looking at the fantasy score, I mean, I like Burrow's fantasy as well over at 19.5 if you're not taking his passing yards. Mixon he's been struggling a little bit this year. He's not getting as much touches as he typically would, and he's not making the most of those touches either. But this one could be one that you take the over, but I like the receivers more than Mixon. And then Chubb is same exact fantasy score as Mixon. I would take Chubb over Mixon in terms of fantasy if they're both identical. Peoples-Jones, He's going to get more work without David Njoku in terms of more targets. I mean, still will be running the same amount of snaps or same amount of routes and playing the same amount of snaps, but it's just been a two-man wide receiver operation for them. They're not getting much production from David Bell. So Peoples-Jones and Cooper, they're going to get more targets without Njoku. And then if they ever do decide to put Harrison Bryant prop up tomorrow, I like his over, assuming it's a reasonable line. But this is what I got for you guys. In terms of the, also last one we'll look at is, they don't even have field goals made yet, but if they have York or Evan McPherson at 1.5 field goals, I take the over. Both kickers are amazing. They can kick for over 50, 55 yarders. But this is the 3 props I like. Thank you for watching. Best of luck. Stay tuned for NBA videos tomorrow morning, and I will see you all next time.